I'm excited for this one because I get to say double the stuff because I don't have a translator, which is nice. It's slightly different because I'm telling my story about being there versus other things, but yeah. So I'm excited for this. There was something else I was going to say, but I forget what it was. So we're going to start with prayer. Dear Jesus, thank you for this day. Thank you for bringing us here this Sabbath and giving me the opportunity to share my testimony and my experiences that I had this past year. Please speak through my words and help us to learn something today from the experiences that I've had. In your name, amen. Oh, yes. Thank you. So on that note about just, there's so many things that I was like, oh, I could show you this. I could show you this. And with this first part, I want to give you an idea of what Bangladesh is like. First of all, where it is and all that jazz. And then we'll go into like the actual stories. So we'll start off with, that's my computer, not up there, with where is Bangladesh. So Bangladesh, I got a fancy little thing. Bangladesh is that thing. It's in what I came up this morning with the armpit of Asia. It's in the Bay of Bengal up there, and most of it is delta. So there's a river that Connor could probably give you the name of that I don't remember off the top of my head, that comes out of China and Bhutan and India and flows through Bangladesh. And that is the main, it starts with a P, I think it's Porto River? I don't know. And it runs through Bangladesh, and it's just a delta. So it's just a river delta, everything is low, and there's not a lot of high ground. There is over here in the west, that is my computer again, Ethan. They're separate. So over here in the west, or in the east rather, there is Chattogram. That is a mountainous area that borders Myanmar. And then all around it is India. The biggest exports include clothing and actually fish. And as I was talking with Alan earlier, the clothing in the country is very different from the labels that you see here of made in Bangladesh. Like I've got a hat that I've been wearing all week. It's made in Bangladesh. The exports are very different from the clothes sold domestically. So for those wondering, this is an overlay of Oklahoma and Bangladesh. As you can see, they're very similar, but the travel time is different. From Thackerville to the last stop on I-35 in Oklahoma, which is Brahman, I looked it up, is 3.5 hours. To get from here, which is where I was, down to the sea, which is down here, which I did in April, it took, 22 hours by bus. The roads are sketchy and the buses are much sketchier. Okay, so actually, I was going to talk about that later, but I can talk about that now. So the bus system, especially at least in Dhaka, they flood the system. So there are at least 2 or 3 buses on each timed route. So they're fighting for they're fighting for passengers, and so they end up racing. And so it's quite literally a race around Dhaka. And the picture I have of the bus from Dhaka is not great. But they're in much worse condition. There's YouTube videos on it, and you can look at all that up. So let's go to the next slide. I don't know why I'm pointing it back there. This is yeah, you can already see the numbers. We're going to put them up, Oklahoma and Bangladesh up against each other and see the difference. So with Oklahoma having 170 million less people, Bangladesh is only just over 11,000 square miles bigger. And the population density is crazy. It is 3,500 per square mile, which that is an average. That's taking Dhaka basically and spreading it out over the country. In Dhaka, it's 44,000. Dhaka is the most polluted city, or it's one of the top polluted cities, and it is the 10th. Yes, it's the 10th most populous city. Bangladesh is, as small as it is like 7 in world population. It's crazy. And then for religion, 91% Muslim and 8% Hindu. The rest of that is Buddhist. 0.1 of that ends up being Christian. And then as you can see for Oklahoma, it's according to whatever website I took this from, which was not Wikipedia, it was 70% Christian and 20% agnostic. So next, I want to show you guys some words from Bangla. This is words that we sort of have like Spanglish. This is sort of a Bonglish. I'm making that up as I go on campus. So the kids speak they speak both in their conversation. And so I ended up creating a phrase that they do use. It combines onik, which means many, and it combines onik oof, which is not an actual word, but it's oof. They say that a lot when something doesn't go their way or they're just frustrated about something. They say oof. And so I say onik oof. I've made that up, and they do use it. So I will take that for creating a word. But to go down the list, I do have it in Bangla and then in English, or at least the closest English pronunciation. So the first one is good morning, which is Shubha Shakal, and then Shubharatri for good night. Kamanacho means how are you, and then Balo is fine. Ha and na are yes and no. And then we've got Asho and Sholo, which are come here and let's go. Onek, like I said, means many. Kia Bosta is my favorite. It means what in the world. It's more of an exclamation. And then Shundor means beautiful. And then the two that I'm called the most are Dushtu and Pagla. And these mean crazy and then naughty or mischievous. Pagla is not on there. Well, it's on mine on here, so it's okay. Pagla is below Dushtu. We switched from Canva to PowerPoint, so that changed. But it's okay. It's not a big deal. So there's one more word on there, and it's Pagla, which means crazy. That's the word that actually is usually said the most out of all of these. So next, I want to show you guys some vehicles. And I'm not going to go through and name them. If you want that, I can do that later. I'm trying to keep it moving a little bit. But these are vehicles that are all used a lot, and I've used in Bangladesh. There's that bus. If you look online, there's some much worse looking buses. And then that on the bottom is their semis. That's how they get their goods throughout the country, at least by car or by vehicle. Where we are it's a border town, and so there's hundreds of these coming in from India, and then they go to customs, and so they're driving along the main road that we take into town. So this is the map of Bangladesh with where I was, Bangla Hope, on the map, which is up there towards the top next to India. Like by the crow flies, we're like 3 miles from India. But I never ended up going to India, but that's a whole nother story. It's because of my visa. So now I want to talk about Bangla Hope. And so I'm actually going to show you guys a video that actually came out Thursday. So this is a plug for this video that if you want to watch this after this afternoon, this would be a very great way to learn more about this group. And I'm going to share my screen. Showing. This should work.
4, and it's exciting to be returning once again.
We are videoing.
Bangla Hope is a children's home in northern Bangladesh that was founded in 2004 by Dave and Beverly Wade, a retired couple who saw the need for a home for abandoned children while working in the country. What began as a simple effort to support the educational needs of children in Bangladesh quickly grew after Dave and Beverly visited the country and witnessed the number of children who are abandoned and without a home. Over the years, God's hand has clearly guided the ministry, from the crowded, polluted capital of Dhaka to the peaceful countryside of northern Bangladesh, where they are now based. Here, God's love has been shared with many children, becoming a beacon of hope in their lives.
Today, Bangla Hope also supports 11 village schools across the countryside. Their newest hurdle is helping students who are now older and hope to continue their education at the university level. We pray this series offers you just a small glimpse into what God is doing through Bangla Hope.
So that is the end of that. But that's a very great video. It's their YouTube channel is called Aaron and Lexi Travels, and their whole mission is to go around and film videos like this for groups that missions that are small and need help with funding and that just don't have the money to do it themselves. And I don't know why it's still playing on the screen. Probably because I need to stop sharing my screen. If that one might be helpful to Caleb. Unless he already took it away. I think he did. Okay, cool. We'll see if that does it. Okay, so to go on, that video did most of what I wanted to tell. There's 174 kids that live on this 5-acre plot, and they are ranging from, the newest, we had a couple kids show up while we were there, or like get brought in. And the youngest is, I think she's 11 months, and the oldest is in university in Philippines, and I think she's somewhere about my age, maybe 23, 24. And so this is just some photos of the kids. And I was going to show them as I was talking, but that video came out, and so I wanted to use that because that did a much better job of doing it. So this photo is of the kids that I got to visit in the Philippines, in Thailand. So we had to leave the country twice to reset our visas because we can only stay in the country for 3 months. And so we went to Thailand once, and we got to visit these kids while we were there. So looking after Bangla Hope, because this is where most of the kids are getting to in life, that they are starting to look towards after 12th grade. And there are a bunch of options. They can go to government schools in Bangladesh. They can go to Adventist schools in Bangladesh. That BASC, B-A-S-C, is a school in Bangladesh that they can go to. They can also look internationally. They can go to India. There's people there in India right now studying. And they also have Thailand at AIU, which is Asia International University, Asia Pacific International University. And they can also go to the Philippines. This is the group that we met in Thailand. Some of them left for school while we were there, and the others, the ones on the right, were already there, and so we were meeting them for the first time. So now I want to show you a little bit about what life is like in Bangladesh. So we're going to start off with what I'm wearing. So what I'm wearing is a Punjabi. This is the traditional formal dress that most people wear. Don't know the origin of it, but I'm pretty sure it's a Muslim origin, but it's just everyone wears it. If you go to a special service at church, people will be wearing Punjabis. If most Sabbaths, they'll wear a suit, but on special Sabbaths, they'll wear Punjabis. And then what's on the screen is what the girls wear, which obviously I'm not wearing. The one on the left is their everyday clothes, which is a sour kameez. It's a 3-piece pants, shirt, sort of like this, and then an orna. And then a shari is what's on the right. It's a wrap. It's more like a big cloth with a blouse that you just wrap around you a certain way. I don't know much about it because that wasn't really anything that I paid attention to. So this is a photo. I guess this is also a photo of a bus. But what I wanted to show you is what the people outside of Bangladesh or outside of Bangla Hope usually wear. And guys usually wear they'll wear jerseys like soccer jerseys, or they'll wear t-shirts, but they also like to wear these dress shirts. And so it's like an athletic fabric, but it's a dress shirt, like a button-down shirt, and most people wear those. So if you go into town, that's what most people will be wearing. This next photo is outside of Bangla Hope, and this is from our church looking out, and this is our multi-purpose building, as it's called. And that's looking out over the farmland. And so most of where I was living is farmland like this. And this is not rice. Does anyone know what this is? Does anyone have an idea? It's mustard. So in they do 2 harvests, at least here. I don't know about down south, but here they do 2 crops of rice, and then they do a crop of mustard in the winter. They'll also do potatoes and other things in the winter, and they also have like smaller gardens for vegetables and other non-mass quantity things. Bangladesh produces approximately 35 million metric tons of rice annually, and they're the 4th largest rice producer in the world. And rice cultivation occupies about 75% of arable land in the country. But all that talk about rice, this is not rice, this is mustard. So this was taken probably December, maybe January. So this next thing is a video. And this is a video. There is sound, but we don't need to focus on the sound. And I need to hit this button. This is a street outside of Bungalow Hope. This is just outside. If you see at the end, you'll be able to see Bungalow Hope's walls. We have a walled facility. But this is a street just outside in the village, outside our complex. And this is what life is like outside. There are students, so that sort of, on that corner there was that tin. Back in there lives a family, and some of those kids actually go to school at Bungalow Hope. We have some kids from the village that come to school in Bungalow Hope. And as the video said, there are 11 village schools besides this children's home that is under the umbrella of Bungalow Hope, and they are all out throughout the country, and they provide an education and actually a meal for these kids. This next photo, as we go along, this is their cooking environment. There is a kitchen that these ladies cook out of, and this is one of the 2 fire stoves that they use. They have like big woks that they cook in, and they also have these for eggs, like we were making omelets. I usually go on Wednesdays because I don't teach on Wednesdays, at least in the morning, and I would help them make omelets. And then also on the right is me using, it's called a bati. It's a knife, and it's a big knife that you sit on and you push your food against, and it cuts it. And I was using that. And then this is outside in the village. This is a stove that they use, so it's a fire stove. And then you have 3 pots that you can use, and that's made out of, I'm assuming, mud. More than that, there might be, but I don't know. And then up here in the corner, I'll point out, these are sticks of cow poop. And trees are limited. That's another thing about Bangladesh. There's limited resources. Every inch of Bangladesh is used for something. There's no empty lots that you can just go and buy. There's no empty lots, no nothing, no BLM land. This is just everything is being used for something. And so wood is scarce. And so us as a group, they have to buy wood to use on our fires. And we also, outside, they don't have money for that. And so they use sticks and they pack poop on them. So that way, instead of just throwing patties in, you can control the temperature of your fire better. This middle photo is of Healy, which is the town that we go for food and shopping. And this is a store in there. It's a bazaar style. It's not like Walmart. It's very anti-introvert. So I had to mentally prepare to go to town because I didn't want to talk to anybody. Well, they wanted to talk to me. And then this is a fishing setup. Don't ask me how it works, Easton. I don't know. I'm assuming you just push this V down and it goes into the water and the pressure pushes the fish into that. Besides that, I don't know. But it is a fishing thing that I never got to see and use. But I thought it was cool, so I took a photo of it. This is some of the food. So on the left, we've got dragon fruit, and we've got a egg curry, and we've got dal. And then on the right, we've got something called fuchka. It is a hard shell, sort of maybe a rice shell, and then you got vinegar and some vegetables like cabbage inside. On the left, we've got jalmuri, which is more of a snack. It's popped rice with seasonings and spice, a lot of spice. They like spicy food. And then on the right, this is how we normally eat when we go to a staff's house. We have bowls and we sit on the ground like this. And then they do not use silverware. I mean, we use silverware to serve, but they eat with their hand. And so we got chicken curry, we've got potatoes, and we've got dal. Yes. No, I haven't really had that problem. I will have, so if you get oil from the chilies, your hand will burn for a while. And so I was cutting chilies for Gel Murray once, or actually, I don't think I was cutting them. I was mixing it with my hand. And I went to bed that night, my hand was just on fire, but it was fine by the morning. So you just have to be careful with what peppers you touch, but I'm assuming you meant temperature of food, and I didn't have that problem. This is one of the staff's houses that we went to, and the reason I bring this up is because this is their house. There is a small, maybe 15 by 5 foot hallway outside that green door. That's their kitchen, but this is a room where 6 people sleep at night. And it's pretty, I mean, there are bigger houses and stuff, but this is actually pretty nice because outside it's much more, as you saw, it was much more mud and brick and tin. This is some photos of people, they're making bricks, so they're getting mud for bricks, and then we've got the street going out to town on the right. And then this is the last set of photos before we get into our stories, and we had the opportunity to going south in April to visit one of the kids who used to be at Bangla Hope. She is not there anymore, and she is married and actually due in, I think, June. And so we went to visit her because one of the missionaries was with us. She had been before in 23, and she wanted to go visit her because she was close to her. And so on the right, it's very different because it's more aquatic and there's a lot more rivers, and so we had to take this boat to her house. And so that on the right is the bridge that you walk across going different places, and then we took the boat under that to that house on the left. And so now I want to talk about 3 stories ways I saw God in Bangladesh. And the first one is I had 2 medical problems while I was there. And the first one was actually 2 weeks after I got there. I got this virus in my eye. And as you see, my left eye is closed and I can't really see out of it. It was closed and it would hurt to blink, and it was just, I couldn't see out of it. And I would be crying. I would be, can't think of it. I would be weeping. No, I'd be tearing up, and I would just have tears coming down as I would be teaching or just doing things. And so it was causing a problem. And so eventually we went to Dhaka, which is actually a big thing because we have to take a 2-hour ride to the airport to take a flight to Dhaka. And so it's quite a big deal to go to Dhaka. And so we ended up going to Dhaka to get it checked out. And it was kind of scary because I'm just now getting to this new country, and my eyes, I'm not one to have problems with my eyes. And I was like, am I going to end up being blind in a new country? Like, what is going to go on here? And so it took a lot of prayer and a lot of just giving it to God that it's going to be figured out, because I had no idea what was going on. No one really had all they would say, at least their translation, was, you have a virus. I don't know what that means. I mean, I have a virus, but that's not very helpful. So that's all I really know about what it was. But we ended up going to Dhaka, and there are some good things that came out of it. The first one being I got to make friends with Mark, which is the guy in the middle. He ended up going to Thailand in January, but he would help me get around Dhaka, and it was just so much easier trying to get around that crazy city with someone who actually knew what was going on and could talk to the drivers and stuff like that. So it was great to start that relationship and connection with him. And then also Miss Miriam, who's the one on the left, she's the nurse for the group, and I got to know her and talk to her and grew a friendship with her on our trips and just wandering around Dhaka. And that actually grew into something else because her son, who actually finished his degree in India, came back, and we actually became good friends. And we wouldn't have been as great friends if I hadn't had that relationship with his mom. And then November, I had something else happen. We were playing football, and I got kicked in the mouth. My face looks like a soccer ball for some reason, and apparently. And I got kicked in the mouth right here, right there. I had a spot there for a while, and I had 3 chipped teeth right before, like 2 days before I was supposed to go to, we had to go to Nepal to reset our visas. And so we talked, we called, and we called and called and called. And then Mr. Griffin called this dental group, this Adventist dental group in Dhaka that they work with Bungalow Hope. And so I was able to get a flight a day early, so I didn't even have to do much. I just had to change my flight a day earlier, and I flew to Dhaka, met Mark, who was still studying down there, and we went to the dentist, and I got everything taken care of, no problems, and it was just a miracle that happened because I've never had problems with my teeth. Just to add the list of things I haven't had problems with, my teeth were not one of them, and it was scary and it would hurt. It was just kind of like, I don't know what to do here. And so it's just giving that to God and seeing how he worked through. And another way he worked through is that they gave me a discount because I was working with Bungalow Hope, and so I didn't even have to pay full price in Bangladesh, let alone what it would have been. I don't know if it would have been more here, but I think it would have been. And so it was just for probably. So to get the quality of care that I did and with Adventist group, that it was very, very much a blessing. And then so while we were there a day early. And so before I left, so Mark and I went to a cricket game. And so it's fun to say that I've been to a cricket game before I've been to a football game or a basketball game or a hockey game, that I've been to a cricket game. And so the added things that cricket means, this is another thing, it's a sport. It's a British sport that they play. And so we went and watched a test cricket match. And so that was a lot of fun to see another sport and just see how they live over there. This is our next story, and it's about loving others. And one thing that was tough for me is constantly loving others back. Because there's the story in the Bible about forgive 70 times 7, 7 times 7 times 7 times 7 times. And that number we're getting pretty close to that number in my time over there. And I didn't know what to do because I was getting close to that sum, and I didn't know what to do next. And and so I came up with that on the spot. I like that. I'm going to have to remember that one. So there was something that I did. I started in January, is I wanted to get closer to God. And there was a couple things that I added to my morning routine. And one of those was singing a hymn out of the Bible each morning. And I can go into the whole story about that, but I play violin, and I've been doing that since I was this tall. And so I don't know the words to any songs because I'm more focused on staying with the pianist and the singer. And so I started going through the hymnal and focusing on the words and what I could learn from those words. And what came from that is going to be our closing song. And it's another hymn that nobody knows, at least from the people I've asked. And it is about love. And in the verses, you pray for, the singer prays for 3 things. And now I'm not going to remember what the 3 things are. But it is some good qualities. It's praying for light. It's praying for wisdom, we're going to guess. And we'll say faith. And as it goes into the 4th and 5th verse, the singer prays for something else. And he prays for love. And as we'll see when we sing it later, that when you sing for love, or you sing for love, when you pray for love, that all the other things that follow after, that praying for love gives you love for those around you, and then it gives you all the other qualities that you're looking for, that prayer is the base of, or prayer, love is the base of everything, and it goes back to God as love, but that's something that I was discovering over there. And so to give to context of where this goes is, as I was saying, where that number was getting pretty high. And between the situation and just not having that parent figure to being in a group of lots of kids to only not as many or adults or staff, there becomes a entitlement, like I can do what I want because I can make my own decisions because there's no one else that's going to tell me otherwise. And so it creates a very negative environment at times. There's a lot of fighting, and it's a lot of getting back at each other. There's no such thing as just getting hit and then letting it be. You have to get back at them in some way, and so it just creates a lot of negative environment, and it was rubbing off on us and like being treated very poorly in different ways, and I'll talk about that a little bit more with my handbell class, which is the next story. But just not wanting to listen, not wanting to learn, not wanting to grow, not wanting to be kind, just coming up and randomly hitting you or just calling you mean things, just different things. And it was getting really tiring because I can deal with that for a little bit, but just constantly every single day, it gets very hard. And that verse or that song really spoke to me, and just praying for love. And so that's what I started doing each morning, is I would pray for love and go about my day. And it changed. There was a noticeable difference between September or August to December, and then January on. It was a lot easier to deal with my kids in class that didn't want to participate, because there was no parent telling them that, okay, you need to go to school, you need to do well in school, all of that sort of mental fortitude in the back, just speaking that around them. It's just, I don't have to do this. I'm going to deal with the punishment. It's not that big of a deal to me. I'm not going to do it. I don't want to. And it was a lot easier after this to deal with those situations, to deal with all the negativity, whether it was towards me or to somebody else, because they were really mean to each other, and it was just sometimes really hard to watch. So yeah, we'll get into that a little bit more with this next story. And just to finish off the story, it really changed my outlook on being there, but also just how I treat others or how I go about my day, just being more positive and just looking for ways to love. How can I show love to those around me instead of just trying to be nice, or just being intentional about love? So this next story has a little bit more background, but I need to change this slide. This is my handbell class. And so my job over there, I had 3 more or less duties, and that was I was teaching English. I teach a couple grades of English, and then I would teach handbells, and I would teach music. I would teach violin, and I would play with them in my free time. And so the backstory to this is, based on all of that I've already told you, it was a lot harder in my handbell class because I was the sole one in charge. There was not a Bangla teacher there as well, which is what would happen in my English class. This was just me and them, and it was much more of a open battlefield than everything else. And it was really hard. And by the end, or just for some examples, people didn't want to come to class. They just like, oh, I'm not going to come today, which in a handbell class specifically is kind of important. It's like an orchestra is one thing, where there's 12 people playing the same spot, playing the same part. But there's one person playing their part. It's very hard to miss people. And so we'd have people that didn't want to come, or they would come late, or they just didn't want to take instruction. They didn't want to hold the bells right, and they would do this. They would ring like this, which go ask her or go ask anybody else that knows about bells. That's not great for many reasons, besides it looks bad and it sounds bad, and just a whole slew of things. It was very frustrating, and by the time it was getting March and February, I was just like, the kids aren't learning anything. This isn't really worth it. I can use this time 4 or 5 hours a week. I can do more with this time for these kids than just do this. But I just felt that I should do this. I should just keep going. We'll just keep going. We'll just see what God does. And 2 weeks before I left, our executive director, who's American, he told us a story in our English Sabbath school class. And he told us this story, the pineapple story. And you can go look this up on YouTube. It's a great listen for something this afternoon. You just have to look up pineapple story and it'll come up. The guy's name is Otto Koning. He's a Dutch guy. And he was, I don't know he is a missionary in Dutch New Guinea. And he wanted fruit because they had no fruit over there, or no fresh fruit, and he wanted some pineapples. And so we ordered some pineapple seeds. And the thing with pineapples, for those like me that do not know anything about pineapples, I've only seen a pineapple plant once, and that was in Bangladesh, is it takes 3 years for a pineapple plant to go from planting it to producing fruit. 3 years, which is a long time to wait for a fruit. And so he waited those 3 years, and after those 3 years, he started seeing his plants start to produce fruit, and he was excited. But then something started happening. The natives that he was living with started to take them. And there's a whole thing that he explains in his video about why that is. But they see, they were taking his pineapples, at least as the way he saw them. They were his pineapples, and they were taking them. And he tried everything. He tried for about a year, I believe, figuring out what am I going to do to get these people to stop taking my pineapples so I can have one. He hasn't had one yet. And he went back to America, I guess he's not American. He went to a seminar in Chicago, as he tells. And the speaker talked about, his sermon was about giving things to God. And the quote was, giving things to God and you will never lack any of these things. And that really struck a chord with him. And he gave his pineapple patch, as he says, to God. And right then and there, he was like, God, I'm giving this to you. I can't be mad about this anymore. Because he was frustrated with them. He didn't know what to do. And he was like, I'm just going to give it to God and see what happens. And when he got back home, or back to New Guinea, he was still mad because he was still frustrated. They're taking my pineapples. I don't know what to do. And something happened something happened because he had to give them to God again because he was still frustrated. And so he gave them to God again about a year, maybe 6 months later. He's like, I need to give it to God again. I'm still mad. I don't know what to do. I'm just going to give it to God again. So he prays again, and something starts to change. From then on, for the next couple months, something starts to happen to the people that take pineapples. Something, they would have animals die, they would have their chickens, something happen to their chickens, or they would have food not grow in their garden, and things like that. And the natives started to take notice. They're like, I don't know what's going on here. And they praying to their gods and sacrificing to the demons, just like, what's going on? What do we need to do to stop all this? And they went to the missionary Otto one day, and they're like, we're having this problem. What's going on? He's like, oh, I gave my garden to God. And they're like, who's that? It's like, my God. And it's like, well, we need it back because we're having this problem. And they figured out, they put the 2 and 2 together, that the people that were taking things from his garden, or the pineapples, or God's garden in that case, were having things happen to them. And so they, through a couple more things that went down, the natives realized how big God was and how he was in control of things, and they got really scared. And they stopped stealing, or some of them stopped stealing pineapples, and he actually bought pineapples from the people that did steal them. So he was able to get pineapples in a roundabout way. But he was able to get pineapples, and he was able to show some of the natives the power of God, and he was able to start talking to them, and he was eventually able to convert them, some of them, because of what happened here. And this story goes to show that we are just managers of God's garden, of whatever situation we're in. It's not our garden, it's not our thing, it's God's. And so this story really hit me when he told it. And I was like, well, this is exactly what the problem I'm having. And so I gave my handball class to God. I was like, I'm going to give this to God, and we're going to see what happens, because I'm ready. I'm done. They're not listening. They don't want to be here, or they act like they don't want to be here. And I don't know what to do. And after that week, something changed. For the final 2 weeks of my time there, we got stuff done in class, and it was crazy. There was a piece that I was like, I think we can do this. We're going to have to buckle down, but we can do it. And because of this and what happened, we were able to get it done. And another thing is we were able to perform on our final performance before I left with dynamics, which if you told me we were going to not only know the piece, but we're going to be able to perform with dynamics is a whole other thing that I was just like, oh my goodness, this is awesome. And I was really excited and really just struck with how in 2 weeks that something like that could happen or change. And so to close, right before we close, I want to show you that video. So this is not the prettiest video, but this is a video of my handbell class performing this song. It is, I don't even remember. I don't remember. We'll figure it out. You'll know it. You'll know the song. I don't remember what it's called, but there will be like sort of a drone in the background, and that is the fans because there are no AC. There's no AC. And so in the church, they have fans every 5 feet, and so there's just fans keeping us cool. And so there will be a slight drone in the background, but this is our performance of this piece. And I might have to hit this button again. Yes, I think. Or maybe Caleb will work some magic. Yeah, there we go. Wow. Their pianissimo is like great. There we go. Told you dynamics.
Kaylee सेवा है Kaylee
So just to restate, they knew nothing about reading music or playing bells when we started. And God really worked to get them to that point. Like, they were wanting to ring the bells correctly. They were wanting to do so many different things. They were wanting to listen. It was a wonderful experience, and watching God work. And he took this class from nothing to being able to play this music. Another thing is eighth notes. Eighth notes was the next, I don't know, sliced bread. Like, we had no idea what eighth notes were. We were able to figure that out. It was just so many different things that came together and worked, and it was just a blessing. So, yeah, as we close, I want you to remember the pineapple story, and if you want, go out and watch it. It's wonderful, and there's a couple other sermons that he has. I haven't watched them yet, but I really enjoyed listening to him, and it's just a wonderful story on how giving things to God he's better at it than we are. So just giving it to him makes things work better. And then just listening to music, like listening on Bell's class on how they were able to go, like, God took the class from nothing and we were able to perform that song. So that's what I want to end with today. If there's, like I said, that Aaron and Lexi Travels is that video that I showed at the beginning. They came out Thursday. They finished it Thursday. They filmed it while we were not there, well, at least for most of it. We got there at the end. And so we were able to meet them, and they're really wonderful people, and their ministry is awesome. So I would recommend go watch that video, and just Bangla Hope needs your support. It's a wonderful ministry, and I really enjoy the kids. I love the kids and the people that are in charge of it. So we're going to close with that song that I was talking about earlier. It is number 488. If you guys can come up here. It is 488, and it is something that I forgot. It is At First I Prayed for Light is what it's called. So At First I Prayed for Light will be our closing song. Let us pray. Dear Jesus, thank you for this day. Thank you for another Sabbath that we get to come together and worship together. Thank you for the opportunity and leading me to Bangladesh to serve as a student missionary. Please go with us today and help us to remember the things that you have put into existence, the experiences to help us learn and grow closer to you. Please help us to look for ways to be a missionary here in Oklahoma, in our homes and in our lives, and also as well across the world. Please go with us the rest of the Sabbath and give us the rest and the love and the peace, and give us love for those around us as we start a new week. In your name, amen.